brand new confessions to Oprah Winfrey about Chris Brown.
I hate this part. It's amazing how lonely you can feel.
Oprah Winfrey's out pushing her blockbuster Rhianna tell-all that will air this coming Sunday on her network OWN.
It was embarrassing, it was humiliating. I lost my best friend.
Rihanna and Chris Brown definitely have a relationship. I think that Rihanna will be truthful about it.
It became a circus, and I felt protective.
We all want to hear what Rhianna has to say, especially about her ex-boyfriend, Chris Brown.
He made that mistake because he needed help, and who's gonna help him?
Tonight, superstar Rhianna confronts her past, but is she protecting her abuser? The pop star causing a new uproar by coming to the defense of her attacker, Chris Brown. It was 3 years ago when this photo showed Rhianna visibly beaten to a pulp, and her own boyfriend, singer Chris Brown, was arrested and charged with assault. Rhianna never opened up about the assault until now, fighting back tears. She spoke to Oprah in a highly emotional, no-rules interview. It airs Sunday on OWN, but clips have already leaked out. Watch this.
He made that mistake because he needed help, and who's gonna help him? Nobody's gonna say he needs help. Everybody's gonna say he's a monster without looking at the source. And I was more concerned about him.
Incredible. She says that she was more concerned about Chris Brown, her abuser, and about Chris getting the help he needs. She seemed much less bothered by her own brutalized condition. Was she so desperate to hold on to this relationship, even to the point of being self-destructive or possibly masochistic? Is Rhianna being classically codependent? Call me. 1-877-JVM says, 1-877-586-7297. We called Rhianna, did not hear back from her. Straight out to psychosexual relationship therapist Simone Bienne. Simone, thanks for joining us. What do you make of Rhianna defending Chris Brown to Oprah?
I think, Jane, it's actually quite usual behaviour of codependency, because what a codependent does is they obsess about somebody else's behaviour. They try to fix somebody else's behaviour at the expense of their own needs, and they become so affected by what their abuser is doing that they forget themselves.
I agree with you. As soon as I heard this, I thought codependent, an exaggerated sense of responsibility for the actions of other people, a rescue mentality, a desperation to hold on to a relationship, even to the point of being masochistic. And I have to raise this other point. This is hardly the first time that Rhianna has raised eyebrows when it comes to the issue of domestic violence. A lot of people were very, well, perplexed over the lyrics in her song S&M. You watch and decide for yourself. Blogzilla senior entertainment editor, globalgrind.com. She's saying, sticks and stones break my bones, but chains and whips excite me. Look, she's incredibly talented. She's incredibly beautiful. Her songs rock, but the lyrics, not so long after she is beaten by Chris Brown, why is she doing songs about whips and chains?
Hey, rough loving is pretty good loving, if you ask me. I think Rhianna sort of understands what's going on, and that pushes the boundaries for her, and she likes to push the boundaries. There's nothing wrong with that, if you ask me. Sticks and stones may break her bones, but chains and whips excite her. Excites me, too.
Okay, I got to go to Wendy Murphy, former prosecutor. Listen, there's nothing, I have, do whatever you want in your bedroom between consenting adults. I think that's fine. But this was a victim of a beating. Her face was pummeled by Chris Brown, and in very short order, she's singing songs that have a sadomasochistic. It's called S&M.
Well, look, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit about do whatever you want in your bedroom, because if you're being beaten and whipped in your bedroom, that's a crime too. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it isn't a crime, and we sometimes forget that about sexual violence. Sure, the visual bruises, we all go, isn't that terrible? If you're being beaten behind closed doors, just because some cuckoo nut sex fiend thinks it's all titillating and jazzy doesn't make it right. And too many women, I think, partly because they're subjected to pornography, and I feel bad for men because they are completely manipulated by pornography into thinking that violent sex is pleasurable. It isn't. End of discussion. And I say this, she needs a tune-up, as does your former guest, because if you think a relationship with a human being should be violent, you are not fit to live in civilized society. And Rhianna should be ashamed of herself for singing about this. Look, the judge gave Chris Brown counseling. The judge should have sentenced her to mandatory counseling. She clearly doesn't get it, and she's singing songs that are influencing young girls. She should be ashamed of herself. Forget going on Oprah. You know, go to therapy.
All right, let's open it up. Let's have a little debate here. Blogzilla, Simone. I'll give Simone the next shot at this issue.
I think she does absolutely need therapy, actually, but it is quite usual, or can be quite usual, if you come from an abusive background, to express this kind of side of you, this familiarity, this abuse when you're older. So Rhianna seeks out these bad boy behaviors because she doesn't value herself. And from that aspect, she already has enough shame. She doesn't need us to shame her. We need to support her and say, yes, go and get therapy, because that's how she can heal, so she values herself.
Well, let me give a little more on this interview with Oprah.
She's got to stop singing songs about violence as pleasure. That is not required of her. She should stop hurting all the young girls in this country. She should know better. Zip the lip until your tune-up is done, Rhianna.
But just because she's singing a song doesn't mean she actually means it. It's the art imitating life, or it's just art. Just because she sings doesn't mean it's true. She doesn't even write the songs. No, a lot of R&B singers do not write their songs.
She obviously thinks it's true.
Well, listen, let's not get into a debate where, you know, there are people who think that statues in Washington, D.C. or in Central Park need to be covered because they show naked individuals. I believe that art is meant to provoke and create discussion. So I don't attack her art. I think she's incredibly talented. But I look at it in the context of the beating she experienced, and I'm going to give Simone the last word.
Yeah, Jane, you are absolutely spot on, because if you come from a background where you have been beaten and you're in abusive relationships like that, yes, it's almost like she's crying for help and she's trying to publicly de-shame her. She does, Jane, as you said at the beginning, she needs our support, she needs our help, and in a sense, yeah, she shouldn't be singing about it, but it's a cry for help.
Virginia, California, your question or thought. Weigh in, Virginia.
Hi, Jane. I love your show. Thank you for taking my call. Sure. My question is, they talk that Rhianna and Chris Brown might get back together, and they've been seeing each other. I thought that there was an order that he was to stay away from her. I have 3 sisters that are codependent on their abusive boyfriends, and I just don't understand why they go back to them and why she would either.
Well, Virginia, actually, Chris Brown has been dating someone else for a considerable amount of time and is supposedly happy with that other person. And Blogzilla, the final word, could that be a factor that she still harbors feelings, but Chris has moved on?
I definitely think they both have feelings for each other, and it has been reported that they've been around. They've been in the same club numerous times in numerous different cities, once in L.A., once in New York, so there's obviously conversation there. They subtweet each other all the time, and I believe he got the stay away thing lifted. I believe that was lifted.
All right, well, we're going to continue to discuss this on the other side of the break. Halle Berry, she says it's not safe for her in the United States. What?